Sawasdee good morning and welcome to Newsline. We're broadcasting live on NBT Radio Thailand FM 88 and NBT World. Today is Wednesday, December 24th, and you're with me, Suraphalaw Tharanarit. Now let's start off with today's segment of Thailand Moves Forward. First up, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has ridden a high-speed train in China during his official visit. China's high-speed train will be used as the model for the same type of transportation in Thailand. The Premier and his entourage traveled to the Train Control Center of China, which controls all trains across the country. General Prayut showed his interest in the high-speed train system and asked the center staff about management and control of the trains. He also asked if it was possible for Thailand to operate high-speed trains at a speed of 16 kilometers per hour. Prime Minister Prayut and entourage then traveled on the high-speed train from southern Beijing to Tianjin. It took around 30 minutes for the 120-kilometer trip at over 300 kilometers per hour. The Premier said he believed the high-speed train cooperation between Thailand and China would pave the way for more economic opportunities for the two countries and benefit the ASEAN economic community. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha will attend the ceremony to mark the 10th anniversary of the Indian Ocean tsunami to commemorate the dead and those injured in the disaster. According to the report, the Prime Minister will travel to Phang Nga Province on December 26th, where he will preside over the ceremony. The event will take place in Takua Pa District, at the location where the police boat 813 Memorial is situated. The boat has become a tsunami monument since it was hit by the first wave and eventually stranded on land 2 kilometers away from the beach. General Prayut's visit is also to raise confidence about the warning system and Thailand's readiness in handling natural disasters and helping communities affected by them in the future. The Prime Minister will lay a wreath and deliver a speech in commemoration of the 2004 tsunami victims. Several high-ranking officials from foreign nations, as well as the United Nations, will also join the event. The Cabinet has agreed to a proposal by the Ministry of Interior to carry out the Smart Grid electricity project in Pattaya, Chonburi Province, in a bid to study the new electrical system before expanding it elsewhere. Deputy Government Spokesperson Major General Sansern Gaokamnerd revealed that the Cabinet meeting gave permission to the Provincial Electricity Authority, or PEA, to initiate the Smart Grid project worth 1.069 billion baht in the city of Pattaya. The Cabinet allowed the PEA to borrow 800 million baht of the investment fund from domestic loan sources, whereas the other 269 million baht will be set aside from the PEA's own budget. The Smart Grid project in Pattaya is set to be implemented for 3 years, from 2015 to 2017, with the purpose of studying the new electrical technology and testing the system in terms of design and operation. After its launch in Pattaya, it is hoped that the new system will be further developed and introduced in other parts of the country. A smart grid is an electrical network that utilizes information and communication technology in the management, production, and distribution of electricity. It helps ensure that power resources are used in the most beneficial way and that services are provided for consumers with higher efficiency, sustainability, and reliability. The National Energy Policy Committee resolved to increase the contribution rate to the oil fund made with each liter of diesel and gasohol 91 purchased. Meanwhile, other benzene fuels will become cheaper by 30 stang per liter. Mr. Narongchai Akara Serani, the Minister of Energy, said after chairing the meeting of the committee that the retail prices of diesel fuel and gasohol 91 would remain unchanged, although each liter of diesel purchased would now contribute an additional 70 stang toward the oil fund, and each liter of gasohol 91 would contribute an additional 30 stang. A liter of diesel purchased would now add 2 baht 45 stang to the oil fund, which now amounts to 14 billion baht. The increased contribution rate means 189 million baht will now be added to the fund each day, a significant increase from the previous daily gain of 149 million baht. A deputy prime minister is confident that the next election will be ready by early 2016. Deputy Prime Minister Wisanu Keruengam said that the government is now in the second phase of its roadmap to re-establish democracy, which means the charter drafting process will be completed by September 2015. Mr. Wisanu added that after the new charter is drafted, it will take a few more months for the drafting of organic laws, and at least another 2 months to prepare for the election. Accordingly, he expects Thailand to be ready to hold a general poll in February 2016. When asked if a public referendum will be needed for the draft charter, Mr. Wisanu said that such a decision will be up to the National Council for Peace and Order. He said that in case a public referendum is recommended, the National Legislative Assembly will need 3 more months to carry out the process, which will lead the general election to take place in May 2016 instead. The Constitution Drafting Committee, or CDC, has come to a conclusion as to how the Prime Minister should be elected. CDC spokesman General Lertrat Ratanawanit and the chairman of the subcommittee in charge of political leadership and political institutions jointly held a press conference related to the proposal of the direct election of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. General Lertrat said that after thorough deliberation, the CDC has resolved to maintain the parliamentary system Thailand has been using, which means the Prime Minister must be elected by members of Parliament. He added that the debate about the setting up of the Cabinet has not ended, although the resolution may be derived as soon as today. The CDC spokesman went on to say that the deliberation on the election format still continues before it is stipulated in the new constitution. The Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, or BMA, will add 20 more special taxis to its project to serve wheelchair users and elderly passengers after a success of the pilot service launched on December 5th. หม่อมราชวงศ์สุขุมพันธ์บริพัตร Bangkok governor says the specialized taxi service for disabled persons and elders moving on wheelchairs is one of the BMA's policies to provide those people with an equal access to mass transit system around Bangkok. As a New Year gift for disabled people and the elders, 10 taxis have been put on a pilot project to give the service free of charge for a period of 9 months. The project has so far gained a very good response from the target passengers. The BMA therefore decided to add 20 more taxis to the service. These taxis will be equipped with necessary facilities precisely responding to the passengers' needs. The time of service has also been expanded to cover a span of 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. instead of 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. previously. Persons with disabilities and elders on wheelchairs are invited to call the free taxi service if they wish to attend the auspicious overnight religious praying into the new year to be held at Sanam Luang on December 31st. The service can be reached at 02-294-6524. NBT Channel is inviting Buddhists to partake in a New Year's Eve, New Year's Day prayer session that will be facilitated by a live broadcast from India and which will see participation by Buddhists all over the world. The live feed from Wat Thai Puthakaya Temple in Bihar, India, will be relayed through NBT channel, Amarin TV HD, and online media from 11 p.m. on the night of December 31st. Wat Thai Puthakaya Temple Abbot Pratep Pothivithet will give a sermon for those who partake in the prayer session. Buddhists are invited to tune in and join the prayer that will continue into the start of the year 2015 to make merit on the first day of the year. The new year is approaching. The government has now established a campaign to reduce the high number of road accidents that occur during this celebration. Kun Suchani Rungmuenporn has the details.
In Thailand, a number of road accidents much increases during the two major holidays, which are Thai New Year in April and the International New Year in December, with an average mortality rate of 50% a day. This is why Thai police are calling this period the 7 dangerous days of the year.
The so-called 7 dangerous days of the year begins on the 30th of December and lasts through the 5th of January. At this time every year, the death toll on Thailand's roads is sadly quite high. To help improve the situation, the government wants to do what it can to reduce the numbers of fatalities. Over the long holidays, many people visit their families all around the country, and unfortunately, some celebrate by drinking too much. As a result, there is way too much drunk driving on the roads, which is the cause of 41% of all road fatalities. While motorcyclists not wearing helmets is the second leading cause. Although we are aware of this situation, it continues to happen every year, though the number of fatalities may fluctuate. Despite the fact that the government tries to establish a campaign to decrease the number of mortalities, some years it doesn't have as strong of an effect as it should. So this year, instead of only installing checkpoints, the local traffic law enforcement units, including district units, sub-district units, and the village units will consolidate to monitor the traffic situation before and during New Year's. Before New Year, these units will conduct research to find the most risky spots where accidents occur and clear any objects that might obstruct the way and make things worse on the road. During New Year's holidays, police will cooperate with every unit and will be more proactive in conducting law enforcement measures, especially to counteract drunk driving.
ให้ทุกภาคส่วนร่วมกันโดยมีกำนันผู้ใหญ่บ้านผู้ช่วยนะครับทางทหารตำรวจนะครับอพปรแล้วก็ชลบรวมมาทางสาธารณสุขก็คือเรื่องของอสมทั้งหลายนะครับเป็นด่านเพื่อป้องปรามนะครับดูแลลูกหลานนะครับลูกหลานที่ขี่มอเตอร์ไซค์ซึ่งทำผิดกฎหมายโดยเฉพาะอย่างยิ่งเรื่องของการดื่มเหล้านะครับดื่มเครื่องดื่มแอลกอฮอล์แล้วก็เมานะฮะการเลือกจุดนี้เขาก็เลือกในชุมชนจะรู้ว่าจุดไหนที่เกิดอุบัติเหตุบ่อยหรือว่าจุดไหนที่ลูกหลานเขาเนี่ยจะออกไปถนนใหญ่
So, let's all do our part to stop accidents from occurring. Please cooperate by drinking less and staying off the road if possible. If you need to go places, please be more careful while driving so that this New Year celebration will leave only joyful memories. Suchani Rungmuenporn, NBT World.
The Secretariat of the House of Representatives is joining the Public Relations Department in working on a new format for the Parliament's radio program. The collaboration between the two offices has been initiated to promote the understanding about the works of the legislative branch and the ongoing reform process. Executives, including Deputy Secretary General of the House of Representatives, Supasini Kamasunthorn, and Director General of the Public Relations Department, Aphinan Jantarangsi, on Tuesday joined in a seminar to discuss ideas related to the new format of a radio program that focuses on the country's reform. The panelists agreed that in order for a successful reform, the show, which is titled Our Parliament, will see its hosts also become truly informed about the current government policies, while helping disseminate accurate information about the National Reform Council, the National Legislative Assembly, and the Constitution Drafting Committee. The Tourism Authority of Thailand, or TAT, has admitted that Thailand's tourism revenue from foreign tourists dropped by 5% compared with 2013 due to the political crisis and economic slowdown this year. TAT Governor Thawatchai Aranyik said this year's revenue from foreign tourists was 1.15 trillion baht, slightly below the set target of 1.2 trillion baht. Apart from the political standoff at the beginning of the year, the sluggish economies of Thailand's main markets, such as Russia, Japan, and Europe, caused tourists to delay their trips to Thailand. However, the revenue from domestic tourists met the target of 700 billion baht, partly due to the government's tax incentives and the returning happiness to the people stimulus measures. As for next year's tourism outlook, the governor said he believed Thai tourism in 2015 would improve, with expected revenue from foreign tourists of 1.35 trillion baht, increasing by 16%. The revenue from domestic tourists is projected at 800 billion baht, increasing by 14% compared to 2014. TMB Bank's Research Institute, TMB Analytics, has revised its GDP growth forecast for the year 2015 down to 3.5%, after determining that the economy was recovering more slowly than earlier expected. According to Mr. Benjarong Suwarnakiri, Senior Director of TMB Analytics, an analysis of the institute has predicted that the slower recovery will be caused by lower than expected levels of consumption, investment, and state budget disbursement. The persistently low prices of farm produce have also resulted in household debt remaining at a high level. Meanwhile, the industrial sector, notably the automotive industry, has not returned to strength. TMB Analytics therefore toned down its 2015 GDP growth estimate to 3.5% from the previous 4% estimate. Mr. Benjarong noted, however, there are positive factors that are coming into play, such as the arrival of the ASEAN Economic Community. The lower price of oil means inflation is no longer a major concern, and the policy interest rate is expected to be maintained at 2% per annum throughout 2015. The senior director also noted that for the short term, attention must be kept on the problem facing the Russian currency. Russians make up 6% of foreign tourist arrivals to Thailand, and they account for 10% of spending by foreign tourists. And that's the end of today's edition of Thailand Moves Forward. We'll take a quick break now, but before that, let's take a look at the exchange rates and commodity prices.
Thailand is promoting 12 core values for the good of the people. The second core value, being honest, sacrificing, showing restraint and determinations in doing good for the majority.
วันที่ 26 ธันวาคม คือวันครบรอบ 10 ปี เหตุการณ์ธรณีพิบัติภัยสึนามิในมหาสมุทรอินเดียที่มีความรุนแรงและสร้างความเสียหายอย่างมาก มีผู้เสียชีวิตทั้งชาวไทยและชาวต่างประเทศจำนวนมาก กระทรวงการต่างประเทศจึงร่วมมือกับกระทรวงมหาดไทย กระทรวงกลาโหม กระทรวงเทคโนโลยีสารสนเทศ กระทรวงวัฒนธรรม กระทรวงการท่องเที่ยวและกีฬา และสภากาชาติไทยจัดงานรำลึกครบรอบ 10 ปี เหตุการณ์ธรณีพิบัติภัยสึนามิในมหาสมุทรอินเดีย ณ อนุสรณ์สถานเรือต่อ 813 อำเภอตะกั่วป่า จังหวัดพังงา ระหว่างวันที่ 26-27 ธันวาคม 2557 พื่อรำลึกถึงผู้เสียชีวิตและผู้สูญหายจากเหตุการณ์รวมทั้งสดุดีบุคคลและหน่วยงานต่างๆที่ให้ความช่วยเหลือและการฟื้นฟูผู้ได้รับผลกระทบและสร้างความเชื่อมั่นต่อประชาคมโลกในความพร้อมของไทยในการป้องกันสาธารณภัยในอนาคตนอกจากนี้จะมีการแสดงนิทรรศการจากหน่วยงานราชการเกี่ยวกับการแสดงศักยภาพของประเทศไทยในการป้องกันภัยและลดความเสี่ยงของภัยพิบัติทั้งนี้จะมีการถ่ายทอดสดทางสถานีวิทยุโทรทัศน์แห่งประเทศไทยและสถานีวิทยุกระจายเสียงแห่งประเทศไทย FM 92.5 เมกะเฮิรตซ์สำหรับภาษาไทยและ FM 88 เมกะเฮิรตซ์สำหรับภาษาอังกฤษในวันที่ 26 ธันวาคม 2557 เวลา 17:30 น.เป็นต้นไป
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline. Vietnamese President Truong Tan Sang arrived in Phnom Penh yesterday for a two-day visit aimed at strengthening ties between the two neighboring Southeast Asian countries. According to a press release from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, President Sang and his delegation were invited by Cambodia's King Norodom Sihamuni. The visit is the 9th visit by a Vietnamese president to the country. After meeting the king at 10 a.m., President Sang went to pay his respects at the Independence Monument in the center of the bustling capital. He first met with the National Assembly President Heng Samrin, the first Deputy President of the Senate, Sai Chum, and two Supreme Monks. During the meeting with Samrin, Sang asked Cambodia to help protect Vietnamese businesses in the country and to treat the Vietnamese who are living in the country in the same way as other foreign nationals, according to local media. The Vietnamese leader later met Prime Minister Hun Sen in a meeting, hoping to strengthen diplomatic ties between Vietnam and Cambodia. President Sang is expected to leave Cambodia later today. And that's all for today's edition of Newsline. For any comments or suggestions, please feel free to email us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook or check out our website at thainews.prd.go.th/newsing. For now, we're going to say goodbye with some footage of flower fields in Chiang Rai Province. I'm Suraphat Lautharanarit. Thank you for watching and have a great day. สวัสดีครับ